All right, everybody, welcome back. It's 12 o'clock, high noon, and we've got a battle on hands. We've got former Canadian champ Alan Whitfield. If you turned it in last night, he was playing exceptional, really driving the ball into the back of the pocket, and his safety play was top-notch by gluing his ball to the cushions all the time. And he's taking on John Evereckian, who you might remember from last year, who hoisted the crown of the Richler Cup. So both guys, very strong abilities here. So I think we should see some fireworks come up here, some good tactical play. And we're glad that you tuned in. Seeing some nice comments and questions on the stream on YouTube. We'll be getting David Putty back into the booth. So he's a fountain of knowledge in this game. It's tough to call that a shot a little bit. John lifted up, so I couldn't see if the double made it in, but with Alan coming back on the table, he was unsuccessful. So this one's a little tough to call for me. So David Putty, what do you think?
Both of these guys are winners, and they know how to get it done, and they have the capability of doing it. So this is going to be a very interesting match. They're also not afraid to go for their shots.
Mm-hmm.
That's turned into a pretty good safety. With all the reds down at the bulk end, it's hard to find a safe spot on the table without hitting a ball pretty hard here. Okay. Heck of a shot. That's he certainly left himself open with available reds had he missed that.
Yeah, unfortunately, this color ball is a bit tricky.
It might take him 2 or 3 shots here to get into prime position. There are some chancy shots here, but very makeable shots.
Yeah, this is the first match for these two gentlemen today. So
Yes.
I just want to warm up the arm. Although Alan's used to the TV table, he had a whitewash yesterday over Arif Mahmoud. But John knows about the TV tables as being the champion of the Richler Cup last year. He was in the spotlight.
John's not unaccustomed to being in this position, that's for sure. This shot is a little complicated by being right over the top of that red. And he fouled. He made the red, but his cue touched the ball that was hampering him. So he automatically called it himself, as we do in this sport.
Yeah, it's a lot like golf. You know, if you have that little cheat, you're kind of just cheating yourself in the end. So, I think the karma gods would come back and get you as well.
Pretty quickly. John's made a very nice shot in the side there.
And I think our chat room would blow up if he didn't call that.
Of course, we have a room referee here as opposed to a table referee, so there isn't a referee watching everything that happens on the table.
You know, that might be a good ploy to get referees to sign up.
The challenge is there are a number of referees, but without, and we talked a bit about this yesterday, as soon as there are corporate sponsors for these tournaments again, then we'll see the referees back on the table. And, maybe not at the early stages, but when you got down to the quarterfinals or the semis or the finals, I think we would see referees back on. But for all you business people out there listening, take a look at the sport, see where it's going. You may want to be one of the early implementers coming into the sport as a sponsor before it gets more expensive when the lineups form. But certainly, I'm a realtor, and I've always had conversations with Remax about it's time to start being a sponsor at some level. But there are a lot of expenses that it takes to run one of these tournaments, and refereeing is one of them. So how do we get referees on the table? We have to find a way to be able to pay them.
True.
Certainly in Great Britain, at the World Snooker level tournaments, you see a referee on every table.
Even in their qualifier matches.
Yes.
And some of the not more known tournaments, like obviously there's the UK Championship, the World Championship, but even at an event like the Paul Hunter Classic, when they have, I think, about 8 tables going at the beginning, every table has a referee. So maybe we can give John Molson the 8th a call and see if
we can get them back.
True.
They used to be a sponsor. Molson's, the Labatt's should be, the big real estate companies. There are also all sorts of companies that this would be good coverage for. And it's also changed in the days. They used to always have a drink, or in the old days they used to, when the cigarette companies sponsored the sport, they'd be smoking. The player off the table would be there with a cigarette and a drink. And nowadays that would be deemed just a little bit inappropriate, even with the drink. And you'll notice that these players don't have a beer at the table. They don't have drinks at the table when they're playing in the club. Some of them might. But that stereotype of the snooker club, the snooker player, has certainly changed. And a lot of these guys they take it very seriously. It's not something that's part of the game of anymore. John is crafting quite a nice little run here. I made a few very good positional shots early in this run.
Yeah, there's a stigma to this of the smoke-filled rooms, the shady characters in the back running bets, and things have changed. I think actually in 2001 they canceled the Players Bar in the World Championships over on the pro circuit.
Now, they do have VIP lounges where the players will go between matches and things like that, and there is a bar there. I was in the VIP lounge at the Masters in England, and anytime there was a player there, they never had a drink between matches. They were, this is a profession to them, you know?
It's kind of like it parallels hockey a little bit. I remember Phil Esposito saying, like, it's interesting seeing how these guys today are so dedicated to health. You know, their exercise was bending their elbows.
And John has he's come up a little bit short on that one, but he has a very nice touch around the table. Now his thinking here is he has a 41-point lead. There are 59 points left on the table, so he's starting to do the math. He knows he needs 2 reds, probably 2 colors here. Very nicely done.
Yeah, I also want to give a little shout out to Robert Poof Poof, who was in the Poof yesterday. You guys might remember if you were tuning in, but he's jumped in to help us keep some score.
Yes.
So we're very
Doing a
appreciative.
great job. So that's John's frame ball. He's now up 48 points with 43 points left on the table. Actually 50 points with 43 on the table. So this is very likely to be a concession by Alan once John has finished. Sometimes in the first frame you'll see a player who's down more than points that are left on the table will still come to the table and take a few shots, like try and run some balls if they haven't had much table time. But in this case, Alan's not typically one of those. He trusts his game and knows that it will be there for the next frame.
And a very quick frame at that. We're not even at the 15-minute mark. So these guys know how to get down to the business.
John just made a great blue there. So John has a potential run here of 85 if he were to take all the colors in concession here.
Ooh. Yeah, I was just going to say he had a great rhythm in that break. You really notice when guys are getting really into the balls and they're just trotting around like they don't have a care and just doing the business they need to do.
And John has a very easy style of playing. He's very relaxed. He's comes with confidence and ability.
So an impressive break of 60 gives John Evereckian the first frame in the best of 7 match. Yeah, I think we're in the Sweet 16 around there, I think. This might be one of the first 16 matches, or 32. It might be 16. I'm looking at the draw sheet over there, and I don't know why we're not allowed to update it a little bit, but that might be our tournament director Gord's prize possession.
Alan has just gone in-off with the cue ball off the break. An uncommon thing to happen at this level. And sometimes you just don't quite make contact with the pack the way you think you will.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of uncommon at my level, or common at my level.
Now we'll get an opportunity to see how Alan responds.
Now, is that preference there? Could you have run through that cue ball a bit and gone off the top cushion and been on the other side of the black?
You could have, but the problem with doing that was that if you missed, you would be leaving that red automatically on the left-hand side. By pulling it back, if he had missed, he had the chance of leaving that safe. Although when you're over that shot, you're not thinking about missing it.
No.
Right. There's nothing in your mind about, well, if I miss, because of course that generates much more of an opportunity or possibility of missing it. The other thing on that shot that Alan just took is that a lot of lesser players would have played it for black, which means that you would be hitting it much more slowly. You don't get a good solid hit, and you're more likely to miss it. He played it confidently, solidly for the blue. Came up a little short. Again, we talked about the pro side. He came up short on that. Now he has a tougher red because of it. He may have an angle to stun over or just run through.
I think that's what separates some of the more experienced players than the less experienced is early on, people are saying, this is the black ball. It's the most important ball on the table. It's worth 7 points. So you're always trying to get it on, but you know how you win this game, you stay at the table. So black might not always be the ball you should take on, as Alan showed in the last sequence he had.
Now John will be trying to get the cue into the pack here. Has done a nice job of it. And unless that pink ball blocked the corner, he has got a continuation shot here. It's tight. He's shaking his head. I don't think it's there. Anytime you take the cue ball into the pack at speed, there's always that possibility that you won't end up with a shot.
Mm-hmm.
But if you do end up with a shot, quite often it's a frame-winning shot at this level.
Definitely. Mm-hmm.
The other thing at this level is quite often runs finish not because they miss a ball, but because they end up out of position.
Mm-hmm.
Their ability to make balls is very high. But sometimes it'll be an odd kiss or a rub or coming off a rail or something that is just that bit different and takes them out of position, like John just had. Great positional play on that one.
And going back to your staunch policy of follow-through, he didn't bring that ball or his cue back that far in his backswing. It was a short backswing. He just followed through positively and got a lot of action on the ball there.
Yep. That ball would have been hit with a lot of top right-hand spin. Takes it towards the side rail. And then back up into play for the Reds here. Looks like his body language says he didn't make it. He didn't make it past the line, but we'll see. So now again he's into that mid-range potting position. Yeah, he's not in the mood to miss today.
No. Yeah, Alan's going to have to do his best to force him to miss. John's a native of this area, isn't he?
Yes.
Area.
He's, I think, manager or has an interest in the corner bank, which is a very nice snooker and pool hall out in Scarborough.
Yeah, and we'll be in the corner pocket next weekend for the Richler Cup out in Red Deer.
That's a place I've never been. That pool hall.
I have not been there. I've not been to Red Deer. Definitely
I'm sure that's been Red Deer's loss. Soon to be rectified.
Well, last match you had me blushing, and this is another one. So maybe you can go for the hat trick in our next match.
Let's see what I can do.
See what spell and potion you
That's
can
fair.
pull out on me.
John might go for this one. Giving it some thought, that's for sure. If he goes for this black and misses, he's largely very likely to leave something for Alan. There are safeties he could play off of this. It's a risk-reward conversation he's having with himself.
We'll look out up there. It's okay.
A little fortunate there. Leaves Alan in a very tough position.
Just thinking that these guys kind of get down to the business. They don't dilly-dally around, but last two shots. And
This is a
put them-
tough shot for Alan. He has that red out in front of the pack. Kind of a shot to nothing. We didn't go for that one. Okay, very nice.
Yeah, I was definitely telling the audience before there could be some fireworks in this one, and I think these guys are living up to it. We're early on. But
It's worked out pretty well for him. So might need the rest, or I guess you can see that other one by the pink there. Without.
another thing I see, and maybe you can comment a little bit on it with your refereeing background, a lot of people just put the ball down right on the spot.
Ideally, that's not the way to do it. And I haven't watched how Alan and John do it, but he's putting it right on. The way, if you notice when in a refereed match, the way that's done is they'll put it beside the spot and then roll it onto. And what happens when you continually put the ball directly onto the spot is you create a divot, like a golf divot. And then on the unless they're redoing the tables frequently, the claws on the tables, then what happens is that divot actually gets fairly deep. And so when you play the ball out, it can actually start to jump. Or redirect, at least. So referees do it differently.
Well, players should do. For all those players out there listening and watching at home, it's a good habit to get into to roll the ball, because unless it's your own table, you can do whatever you want. But It kind of goes back to the etiquette of the game and these little
Yeah.
unspoken rules.
Especially if you have your own table, though, you're more likely to do it because you know how much. I mean, to replace a cloth with a championship quality cloth on a table will cost $800 to $1,000. So if you have one of these in your own home, you're going to do what you can to keep it in good condition. Alan is certainly showing what he's capable of here. His positional play has been spot on. One thing to notice with Alan's play is how long he stays down on the shot after he's hit it. There is no body movement when he hits that ball.
Yeah, there's only one Alex Higgins, and unfortunately he's gone, but he jumped around a lot. But he made it work.
Yeah.
But I definitely agree. Keeping perfectly still on the shot is the best advice you could give.
So this is the key shot in the frame. Had he missed that, he would have given John a chance to step back in. He's 25 points up now. And this will be his frame ball for a 32-point lead.
And these guys practice this routine a tremendous amount of times, have the black on its spot, hit it to get back up to the yellow, and then just run the colors.
Alan wasn't too concerned about position on this. John now needs 2 snookers with fouls, 4 points, as he's and he's looking at the score, recognizes he's 32 points down. He'll give it a few tries. So that wasn't a bad shot on John's part. He wasn't trying to make the yellow. He was actually trying to keep the yellow on the table. And Alan has just, John will stay in his seat now.
He takes a long backswing. Alan does.
Yeah.
Yeah, this should tie the match 1 apiece. It's a race to 4, best of 7. This one has potential of going the distance.
Mm-hmm. And this should be good, entertaining, high-quality snooker all the way through.
So black not needed, obviously, and Alan crawls back in the match to tie it 1-1. So I think if you're tuned in,
jumps back into the match.
if you're tuned in, you've tuned into a great match, and we're happy to have you aboard. But there's still time if you're close. If you're in the Mississauga area, get in that car and punch it on down here, and because this match definitely is going to reward us with some great snooker.
Nothing like seeing this stuff live to really get an appreciation of what's involved. It looks easy. Put the ball in the pocket.
And to see the size of these tables. They say usually the camera has 10 pounds, but in snooker, does it add 10 feet? I don't think so.
Well, that's a great statement ball to John from Alan. This is, I'm going to go for my shots. You leave me a shot, I'm going for it. I'm likely to make it. And kind of now watch what I do. Oh. Commentator's curse. But the statement is still out there. He's going to go for his shots.
It is true. Sometimes you come into these pool halls and you hear some guys just yapping away and all this stuff. You got to be like, you know what? Who talks? My cue talks. Just let that happen. Because most of the time when you're having a little practice or playing a friend and some guy kind of chimes in yapping away about this and that and got to be there, you ask him or her, would you like a match? And then they run away. Yeah, admission down here at Monte Carlo Billiards is by donation, but all of the proceeds are going to our Air Cadets program, so you're helping out a good cause. You can watch some live snooker. What better way to send a chili, actually, Saturday in April, late April.
So what better could you do?
What better could you do?
You could be in the Bahamas.
Playing snooker?
Yeah. Somewhere warm. I'm one of these people that is absolutely ready for this winter to be over. I'm ready.
A lot of people have said that to me in Vancouver as well, so I think it's a common thread among Canadians.
Yeah.
That as soon as March, April hits, it's done. I think I just saw the devil in your eyes there when you wanted it to be done. Actually, a good fan of the game, the great Daniel Lenoir, music producer. I had the fortune enough actually to meet him last year at the Richler Cup. Stand-up chap. And also, when I got back to Vancouver, he was playing a concert, so I went to go check it out. And I ran into this gentleman that his daughter, Dan, was the grandfather of. And he told me a little story that Dan was, I believe, making a record down in Jamaica. And Dan had a 6x12 table brought down there and set up. So can you imagine just, working on a record and then let's take a break and go outside and play some snooker with the ocean behind you?
That would be nice.
A few iced teas and you'll be in heaven.
I'm gonna fix this fucking putting finger.
Yeah, with both players getting the frame on the board, it's now they're kind of feeling it out a little bit. It's,
John has Ellen in a bit of a tight position here. It's not. He has a difficult safety to figure out here. So it's hard for him to get the cue ball back down table, is what the problem is. There are too many balls that in off sort of caroms can happen to. So Alan's now looking, what if he leaves? He was looking at the top rail here for the cue ball. But he didn't like that one either, so. Now this shot is taking some thinking.
this is another important part to have of the game. To be a great snooker player, sure, you need to pot a lot of balls, but having good tactical and safety play is a must.
Very similar situation here. There's nothing for Alan down the right side, so
Do you think that
he
red,
has to get this cue ball between the red and the black after hitting that one loose red, which he's done well. Very nicely done.
I thought on the last shot he might have taken on that red, but
He was hampered by a ball. He was over top of a ball. So it may not have been the time.
and do remember when you come into the audience, ladies and gentlemen, just put those cell phones on vibrate or turn them off. We had a little phone going off, and the players actually have been strictly warned that if they do have their phone and it goes off and it disturbs one of the players, their opponent, I think
There's a frame at risk.
is it a frame penalty?
Yes, yes. At risk, but they might get a warning the first time.
No, Jim's
Well,
pretty authoritative.
Alan is in a very tight spot here. Thank you. And he's looking to see if he can get that cue ball in the straight line between the pink and the blue to hit that red just straight onto the black there for our view. He feels he can do it.
There's the green and the black he's got to go through too.
Yeah, the main tight spot though is pink and blue. There's that straight line there. He's in a tight spot here. They might even call Jim over before he hits this ball. I think
Yeah,
that's
looks
what they're doing, yeah. This is one of those shots where if he hits it perfectly, he gets out, he gets safe. His cue ball ends up over on the green side of the table, back by the balk line, and this situation is completely reversed and John's in a tough spot. But if he were to clip the blue or clip the pink along the way through, then he's in a position where he might sacrifice the frame by it. Obviously, he thinks he can get through. He threaded the needle and has, unfortunately for him, left a shot.
It's a nice shot by John. You can't
So
into
that shot
any of those
position
reds.
was tough. Position was tough though, and I think we'll see him play safe here again. He's may have missed an opportunity there. If he had got the cue ball just over, sort of more behind the brown, he would have had Alan in a very tough spot. This is still difficult.
Looks like our good friend Renat from Chicago is playing Eddie Galati.
Oh, he just fluked one.
Top right corner of the screen. As we have updates on that match, we'll try and pass along information to you. Great people out there. You can also tune in and get the CompuSport app for your smartphone, or go on their website to find all updates on the scores, matches in this Canadian Open.
It also looks like Alex Zhang has just won his match. I think that's accurate based on what we can see from the distance.
Yeah, it's great sportsmanship. You know, when you win a match, you're not dancing around the table and scream into the heavens. It's just a thank you, did business, move on.
And yet sometimes you can read just in how he's putting his cue back in his case.
That's true. But there are some players, when they're putting their cue back in the case, you can definitely tell the result.
That they've lost.
I might fall into that category.
He hit that thinner than he was thinking he was going to. And so the cue ball travels further. And John may have an opportunity here.
Yeah, a little housekeeping.
Now, if John ends up with good position on a color here, he'll come right up and start picking these reds off. Try and get the pink and the black into the spot as quickly as possible.
Yeah, at this level, just a grain of salt could kick your cue ball or object ball in just a direction that you're not wanting.
He's not happy with that carom onto the red. Had that not happened, he would have been up for a pink or a blue. And they both fought so hard to get in. And now that he's in, the thought usually is he wants to continue it. But if he continues it and plays shape on a red and misses, then he hands the advantage over to Alan. Hence, plays the yellow. Might have hit that a little bit better as he's left an out for Alan. Unfortunate.
Alan's very fortunate as well that he has played on this table, although it was yesterday, so getting that cue ball back to bulk and getting to that bulk cushion, he might have a slight advantage over John, but John was such a veteran of the game, will adapt quite easily.
Yeah. And John has just made a bit of an error there. He hit the red coming off the rail as opposed to on his way to the rail. And Alan won't be happy with that. When you get one of these games where all the reds are pushed off to one side, it tends to be a very choppy game. Nobody would be a favorite here to run table.
Yeah, it would be a very impressive break.
Yeah. As an example of that, there have been 7 reds made already, and there are 11 points scored. This is as an example of how this game can go one way or the other. John had almost 100 points in the first game. Alan stepped up, made a whole number of points in the second game. and now we have 11 points made in this game. So it's the nature of the game can change very quickly based on how the play develops on the table. Maybe a little surprised here that they haven't called Jim over to position the cue ball or guarantee it. Alan's coming three rails, trying to get into the back of these reds. That was exactly the target he was trying to hit. He just missed by 4 inches. So now he knows the weight.
The weight, and as you were saying in the last game, he's found that spot off the table.
Yes.
To,
What he's doing here is he's just making sure the cue ball's in the same spot. He's not actually lining it up like he's going to masse around, but he knew the spot he could get to. So this is the sportsmanship factor, making sure it's exactly where it was. That one may not make it either. So the first one was just a fishing expedition to get his range. The second one was fully expected to hit and park it right in there.
is he thinking about the left corner pocket for this red? No.
No. He's thinking strictly get the cue ball down table, or at least make it a difficult shot. Oh. Nicely played, John. So now we'll see that table run out now.
Wow, did he stun that?
Not where he didn't get the result he wanted, for sure.
But just the force of that black ball into the pocket, and then there's the white afterwards just
Floated.
yeah, floated. Better word than trickled. But floated, yes. They are magicians with these cues.
John's been in a couple of times now with opportunities and just didn't quite get to where he wanted. And this is a tough table. This is a tough table to earn points on. So how would you read that last shot by Alan?
Not good.
Not good. Frustration. He's getting, I think my read is he's getting tired of the nature of this frame. He had a perfect safety. He could have played down below the balk line.
Yes.
He was getting tired of it. Thought he'd step it up. We'll see if John makes him pay for it.
Yeah, with these two heavyweights, it's just going to come down to either with Alan being annoyed of the, chipping away here or one missed shot.
This is the psychological part of the game. It's like attrition. It's like warfare. As an example, John has a shot here in the corner. Actually, he's lining up a combination. There's some guy standing behind us wanting onto the table. Wanting onto the commentary booth, our fearless leader, Patrick Geegee. So David and I are deciding which one's going to walk away.
Well, he does sign our checks, so...
Checks?
Oh. Our cell phone bills. But, little phone going off in the room. But after this break, there will be after this frame, there will be a 5 to 10 minute little step aside. So maybe when we come back, we'll have a David and a Patrick.
A David and a Patrick.
There's the trivia question for everyone.
DP.
Who's going to be?
DP.
DP?
DP.
You're DP.
Yeah.
I'm DB.
You're good.
My initials actually are the train in Denmark, DSB.
Do they play much snooker in Denmark?
I don't know if they have a lot, but I wouldn't be surprised. It's such a global game, universal. Once you know how the game is, it has its own language. This new tam chalk that's popular with some of the pros, that comes from Finland.
There you go.
Also, isn't Robin Hall? Is that the Finnish
Finland,
player that's on
Finland.
the circuit?
I believe. Or is he Danish?
No, he's Finnish. Oh, but I think there is a Danish player that played Ronnie a couple of years ago. So, I think Eurosport has done a great job over in Europe and the UK of getting exposure to snooker throughout Europe and everywhere there. Because most of the events used to be just broadcast and still are by the BBC.
Mm-hmm.
So,
although over the years, as I've tried to find live snooker, most of the time you either get now, it seems, Russian or Polish announcers on some of the alternate sites where we can get some live things going. But now there is Dozen, which is for a subscription fee. You can get many live sports, but snooker being one of them.
yeah, they build themselves as the Netflix of sports, and it's quite like the alternate kind of sports. There's snooker, which we love. There's also rugby and darts, cycling, soccer, college sports.
Who cares?
Sports junkies too.
Oh.
But actually, you know what they don't have, and I'm surprised you're not writing them a letter, is squash.
That's true. I have a source for watching squash on
Okay.
the internet.
I've never watched live squash. No. I've
I,
played it.
What David is alluding to is I'm also a competitive squash player and have played for longer than I've played snooker.
Don't be so
50
long.
50 years snooker and 58 years squash.
He is the Joe Montana of squash, ladies and gentlemen.
Joe might be upset with that.
Joe was a pretty good football player.
Tell you what, that shot that Alan just played was an outstanding shot. He played the ball in, played 3 rails to carry him into those 3 reds on the side, right-hand side pocket, the right-hand side rail, and played it perfectly. He's created an opportunity here for him. He's down 29 points at this moment, but from what he has here, he could actually take the frame.
Yeah, he's going to the West Coast, grabbing some of those redwoods.
Forgive David for that. He's a West Coast person.
Living, born and raised just down the road, actually, in Oakville, Ontario. So if any of our friends out there on the stream are from Oakville, say hello. Oh, what are your big trees out here? Birch?
Walnuts.
Walnuts, okay. Yeah, birch would blow too much in the wind. They'd sway. You don't really want a rest that sways. So I was watching a little Looney Tunes this morning with that Wascally Wabbit.
He made that up. He wasn't really watching Wesley Wabbit on TV today.
No, we were watching Snooker.
We were live from Great Britain.
On that streaming called Dazen.
Does it? So Alan played to break out a couple of reds in that shot, and the result is he had to compromise position on the color ball to do that. So he has a difficult decision to make here. Does he go for one of the colors, either black or blue, or does he break the pink out, which is what he's doing here, to position himself so that forcing John here to break that other red out. Which John has done. An unwanted kiss on the black. And by playing safe, what Alan has done is given himself an opportunity to step in here and win this frame.
I'm not the one to make all the business deals and transactions and stuff like that, but what about bringing Dazen on board as a corporate spotter? The Dazen Open. The Dazen Invitational. Your name must be David to enter.
That doesn't sound like a bad idea.
Once again, you trump me again.
And Alan has a shot at this red. He'll take it. I suspect he'll try and make this red, if he can see it. Very nice.
Yeah, we're getting about 3 minutes away from 30 minutes, and this seems like it's probably been the longest frame of the match.
Well, all the reds got pushed over to the one side rail, so you knew it was going to be much more of a tactical battle for this one. If that cue ball stopped where he can make the brown in the corner, he has a really good shot at taking this table. He's only down 20 points. Obviously, he's not happy with this position there. They're happy in terms of he doesn't have a decent shot at something. And we may see a continuation of the safeties.
Yeah, you might hear a little bit of noise in the background of our broadcast. Hope it's not disturbing the players too much. But it's probably around lunchtime here at Monte Carlo Billiards, where we're hosting the Canadian Open this year. I think that's the last thing these players will be thinking about right now is lunch.
John's just making sure he doesn't bump into our camera there.
I think John knows Rob Decatur quite well. You don't want Rob on your tail if you've broken one of his cameras.
That's right. Alan's likely to continue the safety battle here as well.
What's your philosophy? We've just seen that little bit of housekeeping by Alan. What's your philosophy on vacuuming tables? You hear a lot of debate about that.
Vacuuming tables is not generally a good idea. There's a great chance when they set these tables together, they're made with 5 pieces of slate, 1.5 to 2 inch thick. And they weigh about 400 pounds a piece. And they lay them on top of a very solid frame. And then they put like a mortar, like you'd put a grout, like you do with tile floors. And you grout the table together So when you then vacuum, you take the chance of loosening up that grip. Proper table maintenance is actually you block it and then, you brush it and then block it. And block is you have a piece of felt, like is on the table, but you wrap it around a piece of wood. And actually, we're just seeing John take final control of this. It's now 22 points, 25 points up, 22 on the table. And that will be a concession point for Alan, I believe. But what you want to do is you brush, you block, and then you iron the table. You want to keep the vacuum off of it, generally speaking.
The BBI, remember that. So John Everking takes a 2-1 lead in this best of 7. I think we're in Sweet 16 match. I'm not sure if the players are aware that they are entitled to a 5 to 10 minute break if they'd like to. It looks like maybe they're just going to continue on with the business.
Does look like it. John seems to have left the playing area. Alan's hanging in.
I think we are going to have a little maybe 5-minute break, but always a good idea to... Oh, is this John here? Commentators first. Tell them and they will come back.
Yeah, both of these players are just ready to keep going. This is a heavyweight match.
I don't know now if it was maybe a 3-0 affair.
One of them would have taken a mental break. Wouldn't be surprised to see Alan take this one on.
Ooh.
That one may hurt. As we sometimes say, that one may leave a mark. An unexpected miss. I don't think John came quite as far as he wanted off that red to make that yellow easy. That may have been in his mind when he was shooting that ball. But I think Alan's quite pleased to be coming back to the table that quickly.
Do you think John rushed that shot? Do you think John rushed that shot a little bit?
My sense was that he was disappointed with his position. Just having someone pop in the booth here ask us a question, so we've just redirected him to our tech director.
Yeah, we need plenty of volunteers, and we haven't mentioned bouncers would be nice. We don't know everything up here. Sometimes people got to watch their P's and Q's a little bit as well, as these mics are live. And
there's that brisk taken again. Alan, there were a fair number of open reds. Some of these aggressive players who have great confidence in their ability will quite often go into the pack like that. I don't know if he can see this one over the side. Looks like he's playing it. Nope, had to play safe. So the other option he might have had in that moment is there were other open reds. He didn't need to break up the reds, the remaining pack that early. But again, the players quite often will decide to do that. All of it comes down to what are you comfortable with in the moment, right? And it's awful easy for me to say in terms of what shot Alan takes, but I'm sitting here and he's on the table, so we might defer more to his choice than mine.
True.
Right? These players are much more they're much more regular. That's a great shot. 3-ball combination played with safety in mind. He glued the cue ball to the bottom rail and made a 3-ball combination.
And there was space between those balls as well.
Yes. And he, because of that ball on the bottom rail, he had instant position on another ball. Now, as it turned out, he ended up 2 straight. He couldn't get the cue ball up table.
Shot of the tournament?
One of them.
Yeah, just an update over there. I'm just looking to my right and seeing that Renat Denka from Chicago has taken a 1-0 lead over Eddie Galati. So, fortunate for us, it's only like the only table I think
We can see.
the score. Besides this table, obviously, the TV table.
We're almost seeing a repeat of the previous frame here. All the reds pushed to one side, kind of a scrappy table. Not quite as tight as they were last frame, but I don't think Ellen can get directly to that ball over the corner pocket. He's looking at possible ways of at least making sure he moves it. He wasn't successful on that. But he made it. Oh. Depending on the angle on this, he might go for the brown on the side, I suspect. But it may be a roll-up.
Yeah, he's carefully evaluating all his options before he pulls the trigger.
If you notice, one of the things he looked at was could he get to that rail and take this red over the corner. But he also is in great position on that red into the left-hand side pocket. Again, just a reminder, if you have any questions regarding anything we're talking about or specific questions you might have about the game or rules, you're always welcome to send us a chat message. We're here. We have it on our screen if people would like to have some answers to things. So give us a call. Drop us a line.
And let us know where you're turning in from.
Yeah.
As we were talking earlier, we're wondering if snooker is prevalent in Denmark. So if we have any Danes watching, it'd be great to let us know.
I knew you were going to work that word great into there with reference to Danes.
Well, their flag is red and white, so those are pretty important balls in this game.
Okay. See, there's the thing I wasn't certain about on their flag. I wouldn't have thought of their flag. But now that you mention it,
And it's quite possible we're hearing in a few days' time that their quite controversial filmmaker, Lars von Trier, might be welcomed back to the Cannes Film Festival. He was granted persona non grata a few years ago. So
and why was that?
he made some outlandish comments in a press conference dealing with one of the, way back in the 30s, the powerful leader of Germany with sympathize. I'm paraphrasing him.
Yes.
Don't set me up, David. Don't get me into trouble here. I don't want a persona non grata from the snooker community as well.
It could happen. Oh, Ellen has missed a key shot there. He actually, the problem came there when he played that red that was sitting over the corner pocket, and his position was less than what he wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And John is just the kind of player to take advantage. This will be a disappointment for John. With that black sitting right over the corner, right over the side pocket, he had to play safe.
On the little topic of movies, did you get a chance to see the Rack Pack?
Yes,
It was
I
a
did.
BBC production, came out a couple years ago. Basically showed the game in the 80s of all the characters, based really around Alex Higgins and Steve Davis, their rivalry.
But they had Cliff and Kirk in there, characters since their characters were in there as well. Yeah.
Bill made a little appearance, Bill Werbernick,
Yep.
Dennis Taylor, and Jimmy White.
If I'm not mistaken, they mixed actors in with old clips as well.
I think it might have been more audio clips.
Okay.
As they recreated the Crucible for the World Championships, and I think they got some of the great Ted Lowe to do the commentary, because unfortunately Ted's not with us, but had an illustrious career in the snooker community. And do you know why they call him Whispering Ted Lowe?
No, I don't.
Well, back in the
You know,
day,
I had to do that.
yes, of course. I set him up and you knock him down. But back in the day when they had tournaments going on and he was providing commentary, he would be in the room with them. And so he'd have to bring down his voice a little bit, just because you don't want to disturb the players.
And that's why we're stuck in a basement in Mississauga somewhere.
But we have had the experience of being in the same room, and I think this setup is quite nice, because sometimes we can get into a good conversation or debate about the fundamentals or the shot making in the game, and we really don't want the players to hear our thoughts to throw them off.
Well, Alan is sort of taking control of this game now. He's underhit that one. That was a positional shot for that red in the side. He may still now take it on in the corner. Has done so.
Yeah, he was nailing in those in yesterday.
Yeah. So here we are now at 53. He's at 46 points with 51 points left on the table. We're at that critical junction. If he were to make whichever red he chooses to shoot here, He's taking the outside one. Got that one in very nicely.
I had to think a little bit before I dropped in there.
But now he's certainly in control of this frame and about most likely to bring it to 2-2. And I think with that pink going in now, John will, when Ellen's finished here, concede as opposed to coming back to win the frame. But this is that moment where the player would love to run the table if he has the opportunity to do so.
It definitely makes a statement.
And again, with the frame safely in hand, he's quite happy to take that shot for better position on the red. If the black had his game ball, he would have certainly played the black there. But
And as you said, John concedes that frame, so now we're tied 2-2.
Tied 2-2.
Now we're a best of three.
and it's not a surprise that we're at 2-2 with these two players.
No, I think early on we were definitely predicting that this one could go to the distance, but this is an important fifth frame to come up, because if you take this one, then you're one frame away from winning the match.
You're one good break, one good fluke, one good, run of the balls of being away if you win the fifth.
I think Alan's just stepped off for a little comfort break. So while we have a moment, we have some great things happening in the world of snooker in Canada. We're going to have a full-blown national tour next year with ranking points and prizes, like free accommodations. So if you come out to Vancouver, you don't have to sleep on my couch. And likewise when I'm in Ontario.
Okay, yeah, sure.
You can get some great snooker accessories from London, England. So I know a thing or two about the game. And imagine this, David. Come into an event, driving in a nice, pristine Cadillac.
I drive a Prius. I think a Cadillac would eat like way too much gas.
But you don't get to own the Cadillac.
Oh, okay.
It's just a loaner.
It's
and,
okay, that I could do.
It puts a little intimidation into your opponent when you're arriving with a Cadillac. And also free table time at your local club and other good goodies. So definitely also you see, jump on the interweb and www.snookercanada.ca. Always will have many updates of what's going on in the snooker world in Canada. And Alan has broken off to commence this fifth and very important frame. As they're getting going, I'll just update you on some other fantastic things. There's a documentary movie in the works with great interviews with Cliff Thorburn and Paul Thornley and a few others that are involved in the game of snooker. We're 1 week away from our crown jewel of the season, the Richler Cup. We'll be out at the Corner Pocket in Red Deer, Alberta. So tune in. I believe that will be on Q Sports Live stream, and that's if you look at their page on Facebook, that's where you'll find us. But nothing says snooker like come down and see it live. So if you're in the Alberta area, come and say hello and see us. As well, we've got a new franchise program that we're launching, looking to open locations coast to coast across our great land, from Victoria to Newfoundland up to Yellowknife. I'm itching to get up to Yellowknife to see, hopefully they've got a good snooker scene up there. I think that would be a great venue for a good East versus West battle royale, because I think we have some great players out here in the East, and where I'm out in Vancouver there are equally as good talents, but the travel sometimes for these tournaments makes it tough for these players to get together. So if we found some nice corporate sponsors out there that wanted to sponsor a tournament up in Yellowknife, I think that could be a a lot of fun, as well as we've been talking with David Putty, and he has a great coaching program. He did the initial course this week leading up to the Canadian Open, so he's obviously back on the headsets and ready to answer.
Now you're pumping up
any
my
questions.
tires, are you?
I'm just letting know the people of what you've been involved with your coaching program. He's also a great referee, and we've got a referee certification program coming out west, actually, in December.
Mm-hmm.
And we're always looking for people to help out in the snooker scene, whether you want to commentate or scorekeep, or just be an extra pair of hands. As it's a big ship that we steer here, and we need a lot of hands on deck.
I guess you and I have been around Snooker Canada for 2 or 3 years now.
Yes.
But so. And we've seen a lot of change in that time. There are things happening that we kind of imagined might happen.
I know. I finally got facial hair. It took a while, I know.
It took a while. I can't grow it.
I think that was their first impressions. Like, who's this baby face that I'm going to be working with?
Yeah.
Now, when did Paul Bunyan show up?
Now, here we have Alan stepping out again, getting into the balls. His cue ball control through most of this match has been very good. That shot that he just played there, it looks simple. But if he had drawn it back 6 inches further, he's in trouble. If he drew it back 6 inches shorter, he's in trouble. This way, it's just everything tic-tac-toe. It's good control. He may have to work a little bit here to get his next red. Overdid it. He hit that with a bit of right-hand siding, trying to get that cue ball to go right into the back of the pack, or maybe just top. But he certainly hit it too well. So likely the end of run.
Well, being a Canadian champion, I would expect he would have great cue ball control. And John, being the Richler Cup champion of last year, equally would have it.
Mm-hmm. And that's why we're seeing the level of play that we're seeing in this match. Just got it.
Yep, equally acknowledged by Alan Whitfield, a little tap on the table.
And Alan's job here is to get this behind the yellow or brown. It's gone for the brown.
Did you know in 8-ball, 9-ball, 10-ball, those games, that tapping on the table after a shot could be considered sharking? Sharking.
You mentioned that to me the other night, and that's the first time I had heard that.
Mm-hmm. A tournament director out of the Western Canadians.
What a great shot by John. From a strong safety position, he just put that right dead center in the corner pocket and got pretty good shape off a shot like that. Oops.
Same guy?
Same guy. And has left Alan and in. Sorry, back to your shark.
What was I thinking of?
The pool
we were
ball.
talking about Greg
Tapping
Nolan.
on the table. Tapping on the table.
Yeah, Lance Bromlin, the tournament director out in the Western Canadians, was telling me about that. So,
no, I was unaware of that. I basically don't play any pool games.
mm-hmm.
I may start doing it just to try it out, get a sense of the game.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys have a lot of it out here, but Chinese snooker?
Chinese snooker.
Or Chinese 8-ball. My
Chinese
apologies.
8-ball.
That's it.
No, not that I'm aware of. I haven't heard of it being played here.
It's quite big on the West Coast. I was jumping ahead of myself because I wanted to ask you a question. Do you know why they call it a Chinese snooker?
Not really.
All right. The great Joe Johnson, in one of his broadcasts over on Eurosport, said the Chinese read bottom to top. That's how their language reads. So we're used to the traditional snooker when you're behind a ball in your direction towards the object ball. But if you're in front of that ball, you have to cue over the ball. It's called the Chinese snooker.
Again, I've learned something today. You know that saying, once you learn something, you can go home and go to bed?
We got a lot of snooker to comment on today. You're not getting off that early.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, we're going to have some great matches. It's getting down to the
know.
wire.
And Alan just may have made a bit of a tactical error here. He may have let John back in. And as we know, John can get in and make some balls. That's worked out well. Yeah.
Yeah, neither of these guys want to go home. I think they both can see that this is a tough match. Equally strong competitors. Just unfortunate they had to meet so early in the tournament. Just a quick little update. Burnett has actually now taken a 2-0 lead.
John has just fallen out of position here. So his comeback attempt in terms of points has been put on hold a little bit.
Yeah, Burnett, a really nice chap. Always good to see him at these events, and he's trying to be the second American to win a Snooker Canada tournament. The first was CCU not more than a week ago at the Western Canadian Championships.
John has got himself back in the match here, or got in the balls. This may be one of the key shots here, is how does he position? He'd probably like to get to the one by the pink ball.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you've been talking to any of our American friends that are in this tournament, but I know our American friends that come up for the events out on the West Coast are very appreciative because they feel there's nothing going on right now in the state of Washington. So they're really happy that snooker is alive and well, and hopefully we can set a good example for them and they can explode it in the States.
John kind of lost control of the cue ball there. It's certainly not the position he had in mind when he made that blue. But he's pulled it back from 45-0 to only being down by 15 points here. So he's given himself a chance here. Alan appears to have tightened up a bit. Just his stroke isn't quite as fluid. And John's just the kind of guy that'll take advantage of that. That's a tough ball to play position from, because he just really wanted to make the point, or the pink, and get the points.
It's interesting as well, a lot of these guys, only when they really have to, shoot a double or a bank shot.
Right.
It's not the preferred shot for a snooker player.
It's not a shot that you have control over. John has just got a little loose on that one. He hit that one too hard. Left the red over the hole. Oh, Alan's missed another. But it got a very fortunate, a fortuitous result.
Mm-hmm.
John is in a world of trouble here.
Yeah.
It looks like he could come off. He's going to come this way. Okay. So he might have been able to come off the side rail and come up that way, but I think his intention here would be to sort of tuck in off the side rail and just to the right of this red.
Mm-hmm.
He can get there.
Nice little two-cushion escape.
Yeah.
But adding the big breast, it's a little difficult.
Just
Well done.
something like that. Great shot, John.
You know, we can never really commentators curse the safety shots.
Right.
It seems like always when these guys are in high breaks and we say, this is getting exciting, and then a miss happens.
Nice weight on that safety. That one, John would have liked to be down by the ball cushion.
Mm-hmm.
Very nicely done. That's what John wanted to do the last shot. Great hit. I think he's left it again. Just. Yeah, Alan's stroke is tightened up. I don't know that I don't think it's nerves. It's just the situation in the game. The one advantage for, well, the one situation in this game is that the yellow ball is tight on the rail on the left-hand side. So whatever happens, it means in this case John is unlikely to try and run the table unless he could lay that cue ball just between the side pocket and the yellow ball and have a simple shot down the rail. Other than that, that yellow ball is a safety shot from where this game sits right now.
Now, is there a path through there?
He's lining it up like there is. Between the black and the blue. Yep.
Guess he got this pot. Ooh.
But he did. John can hit just the right-hand side of this ball. Well, he had that much. And that's a mistake.
It's a great little shot on John. Down at the table, you just watch his bridge hand. It doesn't move at all. Very still. Going back to what you were saying earlier about just, you pretty much got to be as solid as ice.
Mm-hmm. Challenge for Ellen here is to get anything that looks like shape on the green. I won't second guess what he'll do here, but let's see what he does. Ooh. He put a little more stun on that than he wanted to.
Got the corner.
That was exciting. Good snooker opportunity here.
Yeah, I think I saw his heart skip a beat actually as that cue ball went close to the corner pocket.
Advantage back to John here.
But yeah, this fifth frame is leading up to it. We knew it was going to be an important one, and it's very close here.
And the way these shots are going, there's no simple solutions to it. You know, does he go for this one? Does he play safe? Does he do a little bit of both? And he's got a good result on that. Massey. Ooh. He's going to have Alan do it again. So he's within 2 points now, where before he was down 45-0. Pretty big opportunity for John here.
Yeah, he just needs up to the pink to take the frame.
Yes. I've hit that a little hard. Okay, I think he's okay there. Not as straightforward as he might have liked. He's in a good position.
Yeah, that brownie takes the lead, 49-47. Very important fifth frame in this match.
And John's not likely to make a mistake at this point in the frame.
No, I think, Alan, you got some work to do. That should clinch that fifth frame for John Everecki and takes a commanding 3-2 lead in these best of 7 matches. So they'll just be racking up the balls, and frame 6 will be coming up. Very important for all you Alan Whitfield fans out there. He's hanging on by a loose thread. Could be going home pretty soon.
He's playing well. Like both of them are playing well. And they've both made a few mistakes and haven't punished each other as much as they might have. But we might see a good sized break here, or we'll see another chippy, kind of like when we've seen a couple of frames already.
And they are pretty swift players.
Yes.
They're not... we've seen when they get into the balls, they definitely get going and they take care of the business. It was only those few frames when they got really tactical that the pace slowed down a little bit.
If you look at that shot that Ellen just played, that might be something that in the first frame he would have taken on. But being down 3-2, it's not a risk he's willing to take. Just finding out here that Lobsang Lama has won his match and is going through to the next round. for those Lobsang fans.
Try playing that game Fortnite. It's pretty fun. Who told you about this? How do you know these things? How are you so like cool?
John keeping the safety pressure on here, keeping Alan under control. And as much as that style of play, when the situation calls for it, isn't as exciting as 100-point runs and things like that, it is what creates this kind of opportunity. His safety play is giving him opportunity to step in and make some balls like a great shot like that one. This is the tactical side of snooker. And John is in. Not certain if there is anything there in the pack for him to play for, but there is one loose one here to the right. Gives him an automatic out for a blue or a bulk color if he were to make it. Just missed it. But played it at a way. Alan's going to get pretty used to playing down from that rail if this continues this game.
John has played some good safety so far.
John has effectively shut Alan down by leaving him with the third or fourth shot in a row that Alan's been playing from this position.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I just had to step away. A few people were hounding David Putty for an autograph, so I just had to shoo them away and let them know.
The
after
crowds
the
were
play.
just bothersome. Very nice shot from Alan. Getting a good escape there. If he'd hit that ball too thick, he was in big trouble, but played it very well.
Mm-hmm. Found the nice route through there.
Yeah, it's one of the things that's, some people might think that that's lucky that he got through there. That's not lucky at all. John knew exactly what he was doing. He knew the route. You have to hit the cue ball at a certain point to get a certain reaction, and all those things happen. And he played that exactly as he intended. Perhaps not for the hook behind the brown, but to get the cue ball back into the bulk area, keep Alan under pressure. And the dynamics of this game, kind of, if you look at it, is that Alan is constantly trying to get out of trouble and is on the defense. And as much as John is playing good defense, what it is actually quite offensive because he's keeping Alan under incredible pressure.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can play a shot like that, which is brilliant, from under pressure, from where he was to make that ball. It's a great shot.
Is there a correct word? Is overpressure? He was
Perhaps.
under pressure, now he's overpressure.
Well, the one thing that being in that position that Alan was in is it really does force you to concentrate.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So the focus, the attention to the shot is much higher, to say, than just chipping off to a safety.
Mm-hmm.
Playing for the pink in the side there. He hits that shot with a lot of confidence.
Mm-hmm. It didn't hit any jaw, didn't even have a good of a chance to think about it. I guess does that black go to the left corner pocket if he just
I think
runs
it
through?
does. Must. So his focus now will be to make the black, but to clear those reds away from the black so that he can build a run here. Nicely done. Might be a little iffy if that black by, or the red by the black goes, but in this case, Alan's been fortunate that all the reds came this side of the side pocket. He can now play safe if he chooses to. Down the other end of the table. He's going down to take a look. But if one of those reds had stayed down there, he was going to have more of a challenge.
Yeah, he tested his luck there, and it's turned out beneficial for him. Because he does need this frame to keep his hopes alive to be crowning the Canadian Open champion.
John's trying to figure out where there's a safe spot on the table.
Yeah, I've got one for all our chat room friends. Do you know how many World Cups of snooker Canada has won? Don't go online, anybody. I want to see up in the chat.
2.
Okay, that's David Putty's guess.
And truly it's a guess.
Okay. But we'll give you a few moments to think on that.
It's a nice, well thought out shot on Alan's part there. He wanted to make sure that John didn't have a shot on that loose red down at the bottom. But, great shot.
Now, does this continue on for John, or is this roll-up time?
It's a tough roll up because that red's right there.
You know, I just thought, why didn't we knock on Tim Horton's door? Roll up the Ren to Ren? Is that still a thing out here?
Yes.
Could we apply that to snooker? Roll-up shots?
Yes.
Okay. Thanks for the confidence.
Yes. This would be a good shot on. Oh, he's gone safe. Good for Jeff. Yes, they're both definitely playing this game differently, this frame. They're being a little more cautious, thoughtful. that's a bit of a misstep by John. You use the green ball here to come back up table, and okay.
Yeah, these reds are in funny kind of positions on the
They
table.
are. I think he was playing for the one to the left on the table there, but if this one clears, it's almost as good. And you'll see players do what Ellen just did there. He just did a whole walk around the table.
Mm-hmm.
It gives them a really good overview of everything on the table. He's trying to figure out his way here too. I guess that's the brown ball by the corner there. He's just getting a final kind of picture of the table and in his head figuring out his best way around. So he did one full 360 around the table.
Okay.
Still a very tough table to picture running out on.
It's pretty dicey.
Very nicely done. And likely a safety here, bringing the cue back over that same side of the table. He went for it.
Has the blue helped him? No, I don't
No,
think so.
no.
John's coming with authority.
But again, a tough table to run out on, so Alan would expect to get back to the table here at some point. I think John tried to get that red off the rail on that shot, just didn't quite get there. Alan will be quite happy to leave those three reds that are close to the rail. He'll be quite happy to leave them there for a very long time. The yellow ball is in a safe position, so he's still favored to win this frame. That's a heck of a shot shooting over the green.
Yeah, a Chinese snooker.
A Chinese snooker.
Yeah, we have two more matches today. They'll be coming on the TV table, but as the tournament narrows down, I just don't know right now who will be on these tables. So it's a good idea to subscribe to the Snooker Canada page on YouTube, as you'll get notifications when those matches come up and become live. And as well, if you like us, that helps our popularity grow and people start to pay interest, and we can bring you more of these great events.
So John might have been able to play safe off of another red there, but it's his interest to have all these reds off the rail, because he needs them to catch up, being 33 points down.
Uh-oh. And that helps as well for
It
John's
does.
case.
Now there's another red up by the black, which helps John. So where it was in Alan's favor not long ago, John can certainly be in a position to catch up fairly quickly. That yellow ball still is in favor of John, except that he's a left-handed player. So that yellow is not as hard. Ooh, he missed that one. Yeah, I'd be surprised if he didn't take the black here because that's his frame ball. Except, no, he's okay. If he'd ended up behind the blue there, he would have been just a little unhappy. Hampered by the pink. So he has a 36-point lead with 35 points on the table. John immediately goes for the snooker and just missed it, I think.
Yeah, great idea to try it now with multiple balls on the table.
Yes.
There's always a lot more to hide behind and chances of free balls as well.
So John has conceded the frame.
So, as billed early on, we were thinking it was going to go to the decider, and sure enough, here we are. Hold on to your seats, ladies and gentlemen. We're tied 3-3. Best of one now.
Best of one.
Call your mothers, call your wives, call your lovers. Tell them to come on down and tune in, because this one's going to be a good one.
So again, we'll probably have a wide open big run or a chippy affair.
It's a chippy affair.
These guys, both of these guys will be looking for the opportunity for a big run. They'd like to finish it and just not give the other person a chance.
True. And did these guys have a hot date going on afterwards? Pretty much as soon as Alan took his cue off after setting up all the reds, break was off by
That's right.
John. So.
It was. They're onto it. Coming up with a nice two-rail hit here. The idea is to bury the cue ball in the pack in case he's left one red open.
And that could be the one missed shot in this frame. Yeah, we got to tell those guys we need breaks too.
I know.
They're entitled. Go get a coffee.
When do we get a sandwich? That one's worked out very well for John. It's a great shot. And that's... John's quite happy to give the table up here. He might have been able to go for that in the side. Better to keep this kind of pressure on Alan.
Yeah, want to be calm. The adrenaline's definitely going to be pumping.
Nice control. That's a nice shot. very good return safety. Again, there's good use of the angles that John did, and Alan's is good at it as well. Finding that gap, that alleyway to bring the cue ball through to get it down table.
Yeah, because any cannon into any red down there could spoil disaster.
Yeah.
These guys definitely know their way around the table, and putting up a substantial break is definitely in their wheelhouse. It's a nice find there. Good shot to nothing. Okay.
If he made it, he might have played the yellow or played a roll-up again, but neither one wants to give up control of the table.
Well, let's hope nothing silly happens in this frame, like a cell phone going off during a player's shot or a bad kick. It's just
Yeah, that's one thing we haven't had. We haven't had a kick. Actually, on any of the frames we've done, I don't think we've seen a kick. This will be a nice attempt. Played perfectly. Except for the red. It's always hard to know if, after you've made contact with the red, if anything is going to end up over a corner like this. You hope it doesn't. You do your best to plan it. And sometimes this happens. And that's a perfect kiss for John.
I thought you said in your press conference yesterday after your match with Fern that you were getting kicks right, left, and center.
No.
Okay.
No.
I'll have to talk to my people on the floor that are reporting back to me.
It's a great result for John, other than he didn't make the ball. He, again, hampered cueing. And does Alan take the chance on that shot, given what he would leave if he missed, compared to a simple safety of just chipping off this red?
Yep, frame one, it might have been a different story. Up 3-0, but this is a decider. Someone is moving on. But as the story goes, who knows when and where?
It's probably a song about that. So, does it get... We got safe on the one over the side. Just a little chip off that brown on the way it went on its way down would have made a big difference.
Just a little update. Eddie is called back into his match with Renat, so Renat leads 2-1 over there for any supporters, but you can always find all the updated scores on the CommuSport webpage, or you can even download it for your smartphone. It's a real handy app to be tracking all this exciting action, the Canadian Open.
Ooh, look out. That would have been a big fluke. That could have been a match-changing fluke. Because he had yellow or blue, balls open.
Yeah, good shot there because John definitely wants to get that black ball on its spot.
I'm up 3-0. If that means anything.
Just an update on the floor for all you Phil Snake fans out there. I know he's got a good following in Oshawa. He's leading his match 3-0. So we'll keep you updated as we can hear what goes on.
He's in a match there with Gerard Morrison, so we all know Gerard's he's a fighter, he's not giving up, but Phil's sounding like he's in good shape there.
I would think so.
Be interesting to see where the black ball spots here is, whether that easy red in front of him is makeable.
Yeah, no one yet that I've heard of in the tournament has been down 3-0 come back to win. So,
No,
but I think
I tried.
I think you accurately said that Gerard definitely has the bottle to do it.
Yes, there's a good English term.
Bottle.
And John just missed one he wants back. It's not one anyone would have thought he'd miss in that situation. Again, he's landed fortunate. To have not left that red in the corner. Just playing Alan's body language might indicate that he could see a red there. He's left one for John.
As you see, going back to when we were talking about doubles or bank shots, even though he made that, if he didn't make that red, he would have been all right because he'd been up near the bulk
Yep.
cushion. So most of the time when they are taking on doubles,
So a good hit by John. I think he's left that one over the side for Alan, and this is Alan's best chance so far to step back in. Or maybe he can't see that. Key shot here. Position was easy off of that, but you had to make the ball. It
easy
looks
for
like
you to say.
Huh?
Easy for you to say. You got 50 years of experience.
Well, Alan now has a chance of.
least hanging around the black here, he can score heavily.
Yeah. This is a great example of when you have the right angle, that shape is not easy but straightforward. Just a little. He didn't have to hit that ball hard. He hit it well, and all of a sudden he's in perfect position for this red.
And we're tied 24-24 in the final frame.
That red behind the pink probably goes in the side. John's starting to sweat it out in his chair there. His frustration with this sport is that when you're in your chair, there's nothing you can do.
Yeah, and Alan's starting to find a groove.
He was desperately wanting a kiss on that red as it went by. As the cue ball went by, that would have secured more open reds for him. Alan's up 20 points now.
Yeah, as you mentioned that.
He needs one of those two reds that are frozen together. He needs to break those out to secure the frame and match. So he'll be aware of that. We have beer bottles being thrown around behind us. This was, if he can lay this in, I'd suggest that top red might go into the left-hand corner. So this is a pure positional shot. Okay. He hit it too well. Target here, cue ball behind the yellow and brown. Just as effective, stops him from making a ball.
Yeah, you might be able to teach some etiquette to our bartenders here, David. A new course you can do.
In my spare time. Big shot here. Beautifully.
Yeah, it's just really unfortunate one of these guys has to walk away. Two great competitors.
That would have given John a situation where he would have needed a snooker. So now the tactical battle continues.
But you see with that double again, safety in mind. He's glued it to the ball cushion. He's got behind those yellow and brown. Not fully behind it, obviously. I think Alan
But he
can
was,
see
he was
the way.
getting his cue ball down to the bottom rail all the time. Yep.
Oh,
There There's a shot.
That's a shot, and the
And
handshakes
the
are
handshake.
had. Oh boy,
Wow.
what a match that was. Seesaw match back and forth, but Alan Whitfield
Great
is through
spot. Great
to the
spot
next
to finish
run
it.
with a 4-3 win over John Evereckian. John, the great player, unfortunately has to go home.
Well, that's a heck of a shot to finish the match. Well done, Alan. Alan Whitfield, the winner, 4-3. I believe we're going to take a bit of a break here.
Yes, we're going to stand by for about 15 minutes, I believe, around there, because our next scheduled match is for 2:30. I'm not sure who's on that table yet, but also, as we say, subscribe to the YouTube channel, the Snooker Canada page, and you'll get nice alerts when the next match comes up. So tune in, and we'll just step by for about 15, and we'll see you when the action resumes.
Talk to you soon. Bye now.
Bye-bye.
Monte Carlo Billiards is the home of Mississauga for the game of snooker. Whether you are a beginner or an advanced player, if you enjoy the game of snooker, there is no place like it. With world-class professional tables, it is always a good time to drop in. We also offer lessons, leagues, and group functions. Great food, great atmosphere. MonteCarloBilliards.com.
Monte Carlo Inns, we're the first to admit there's no place like home. So let us welcome you to the next best place, where guests feel like regulars, even on their first day. Monte Carlo Inns is your home away from home.
The landscape of snooker in Canada is about to shift to a higher level. We have just one question. Are you ready? The Canadian Snooker Tour has seen a lot of changes in the last 7 years. An increase in player participation, tournaments, and yes, more prize money. 3 words, not satisfied yet. Stay tuned for major announcements to come on the Snooker Canada website.